Hello and happy Tuesday, which is of course my book reviews day, and today I would like to talk to you about The Girl Next Door by Jack Ketchum. This, my friends, is the Overlook Connection Press edition from the 90s, which is a superb and spectacular signed edition. This is the signed edition to end all signed editions. Like, this is jam-packed with bonus material. But I will talk about those bonus materials and this edition in particular after we talk about the novel itself. But just to peek, look at all those signatures, including one Stephen King. Wow, holy crap. So The Girl Next Door is the coming-of-age novel from hell. If it weren't for me going in knowing what it's about, and if it weren't for the first chapter, which is almost like a prologue, really showing you that horrible things are going to happen, this novel would completely take you by surprise. Like, once you get past and get to chapter 2, it reads like a classic coming-of-age story. You know, boy meets girl, girl's new to town with her disabled sister. They're both being raised by, in the instance of the novel, their aunt, the single mother with 3 kids of her own. But things start to get a little weird. Things start to turn a little dark. The aunt is a little mean to the new girls. And, it starts getting a little uncomfortable, and things start escalating from there. And if you're not familiar with The Girl Next Door, let me just say it is a novel that is based on true events. It's inspired by true events about a girl who was taken in by her guardian with her disabled sister and ultimately abused by her guardian, ultimately tortured by her guardian, raped by her guardian, raped by the guardian's kids. Just sexually abused, and then the neighborhood kids get involved, and it is devastating, ultimately leading up to the death of the girl, which I hate to say that's a spoiler for The Girl Next Door, not The Boy Next Door, The Girl Next Door, but it is based on an actual case, and you learn pretty early on that this does not have a happy ending from that prologue chapter from young David, our protagonist, our narrator. But wow, what a haunting novel. This thing just hurts you to the core. It is written in such a beautifully simplistic way by Jack Ketchum. We're not looking at any fancy prose or any purple prose here. He is blunt when he needs to be blunt. And it is shocking. It will stick with you. Hot damn, man. This is a novel that will haunt your dreams. Partly because it's based in fact. I mean, he did take artistic liberties. He did change parts of the story to make it a novel. It's not a one-for-one direct retelling. But this is actually a chapter right here, one single sentence. So the previous chapter ends with, fuck it, I thought, let's see where it goes. Next chapter, where it went was to the basement. That is fucking haunting. Pardon my French. Jesus. Damn. Jack Ketchum, I'm ashamed to say I don't think I've read much by Jack Ketchum. I've read Right to Live, which was a novella he had done, but this is, I think, the first full-length novel I've read by him. But, man, this is going to stick with me. It's, like I said, I mean, I am a sucker for coming-of-age stories, and this is presented like a coming-of-age story, but completely twisted on its head. You can't look away. It's horrifying. And what he does so well is that you're not in the driver's seat for the abuse, for the sexual abuse, for these crimes. I mean, sometimes you are. Sometimes Davy is in the room as a bystander, as the young girl is being abused. But in many of the cases, he is from the outside looking in. He is looking in through the basement window and seeing what they're doing to the girl next door. This is a novel. Yes, it is a novel with extreme torture. It is a novel of extreme subject matter, but it is almost the result of the extreme that you see. You don't always see the extreme nature first and foremost. You see it as a bystander, or you're reacting to it after the fact. And I think that is what it does exceptionally well. If you don't, if you can stomach horrible things happening to young teenage girls, especially with it being based in reality, inspired by a true story, you should definitely check out The Girl Next Door. This novel deserves a lot more praise. I'm not saying it doesn't receive praise. It receives plenty of praise. It has a cult following. But this novel deserves more attention than it unfortunately got. I think in part due to the original dust jacket. I say dust jacket, it was originally a paperback. Original cover art, which featured a skeleton cheerleader. Look it up. It's horrible. And it's even discussed in the Afterward, in the interview with Ketchum by Stanley Wiater, that happens in this edition. So this edition is the numbered edition. Let's talk about that. This is the numbered edition from Overlook Connection Press. Overlook Connection still does like yearly Stephen King calendars. Look at that table of contents for contributors. That is just incredible. It begins with, first of all, it has Neal McPheerson's artwork right there and cover artwork. It's begins with introduction to The Girl Next Door. A pretty meaty introduction by Stephen King. One thing to be said about this particular edition is that everything is in bold, which is a weird choice, but it kind of works well. I mean, it's a short novel. The novel is under 250 pages in its normal state. It's a little bit longer in this edition, just because of the bold text, the larger trim size. But it is a very quick read regardless. What this edition does have is a plethora of afterwards. It has You're Not Helping by Christopher Golden. It has The Reader as an Accomplice by Lucy Taylor, which really gets under your skin and really shows you how well this novel works. It has Horror Is by Edward Lee. Ed Lee, I'm not gonna lie, this should have been in the beginning of the novel. It almost feels like Lee was told that he was writing introduction or a foreword, and then they decided, know what, the introduction's going to Stephen King and Stephen King alone, which isn't fair. I think, because this avoids any spoilers. The other pieces do have spoilers in it. Ed Lee avoids spoilers and actually introduces the novel. He brings you into it. So it really should have been included in the front as well. You have Living with the Girl Next Door by Philip Nutman, and then you have a lengthy interview between Jack Ketchum and Stanley Wiater, which really goes into details behind the novel. It talks about that god-awful original artwork from that first edition paperback. But wow, not only is this one of the most haunting novels I've read in recent years, but this is probably one of the most impressive editions. Not just this novel, any novel. This is like on par with Horns, the Levidian edition of Horns. Like, you think of editions that are just packed with forewords and afterwards and bonus content. This doesn't necessarily have bonus content per se in terms of like appealing directly to the novel, like extra chapters or, expunged material, but it is jam-packed with afterwards, forwards, interviews. It is, it's expensive, primarily due to this gentleman's signature. It is going to be cheaper than actual signed Stephen King books because he only provides an introduction, so it's going to be on the cheaper end of Stephen King's signatures. But if you want a definitive edition of The Girl Next Door, you need to find yourself a copy of the Overlook Connection. I know the lettered edition apparently came in a mahogany box. That sounds incredible. Way out of my budget. Not going to happen, but I'm happy with the numbered edition. But even if I didn't have this edition, I would say go if you need. It's not supernatural. It is just the absolute horror of humanity at its worst, and you wanted to read about humanity at its worst in a story where you are a bystander. You are an accomplice in that way, and you cannot look away, and it will stick with you for the rest of your days. Then you need to go out and check out The Girl Next Door by Jack Ketchum. I cannot recommend this enough. Wow. It's probably one of the best reads I've had this year. And like I say, this is an old novel. This novel published back, like 89, I believe, originally. So it's going back a few years. But it should still, I hope it's still in print. I should have checked that out. You should check out The Girl Next Door by Jack Ketchum. Even if you're not getting a fancy signed edition, if you're just getting a regular trade edition, you need to check this novel out. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. Please consider subscribing to the channel. I do a book review like this a week. Plenty of other book unboxing videos in between here and there, and as well as book comparison videos if I have multiple editions of a certain title. But anyways, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to go take a shower now, and we'll see you around next time.